up, everybody? Welcome to Steel City Live here on Mike Drop Sports. I'm your host, Jason, as always. What's up, JD? What's up, DJ? Good to see you guys. Make sure you're hitting the shit out of that like button. Make sure you're sharing the show. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you do so and join the conversation here. Memberships are always open. Also, super chats are always welcome. And other ways to support the channel, like I said, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. And we truly, truly appreciate those things. So let's kick things off here tonight, man. Schedule release night, man. Big night for everybody. That happens, I believe, at about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, hey, perfect timing here for Mike Drop Sports. And we will try to do either a live or I will have a pre-recorded show that I will put out after the schedule release, discussing what I think about the schedule. Probably a pre-recorded show. I'll discuss and break down what I think of the schedule, where I think the Steelers are going to have some trouble, so on and so forth. So make sure you are looking out for that. Turn your notification bell on, and if you're not watching it now, you can watch it later once this uploads back to the channel. But we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and that offensive line and where they were in 2024 and how this thing got to evolve in 2025. And we're going to talk about primarily the players that are going to be returning for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're not going to be talking about the Dan Moore Jr.'s or the James Daniels. We're not going to be talking about any of those guys really. But we're going to focus on those guys that are returning for your Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025 along that offensive front and really trying to figure out here if we're going to see some sort of improvement and whether or not we should expect any type of big improvements, or should we expect more of the same? So make sure you're putting your comments, questions, and concerns inside of the live chat. And thank you to everybody so far. Thank you, everybody, for digging in on that like button. We truly, truly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's start off with this offensive line. I do have some statistics from them for 2024 that we're going to utilize. A team in which during the regular season allowed 49 sacks. That number has to come down in 2025. That's something the Pittsburgh Steelers have to really focus on, in my opinion. Sacks are huge, man. Sacks are drive killers. Sacks can cause turnovers. Even just sheer pressure rates can really cause major disruption, making the quarterback uncomfortable, causing a lot of mistakes, man, causing errant throws, causing batted footballs, causing bobbled footballs by the wide receivers due to inaccurate throws. It causes the quarterback not to have that anticipation. But there's another side to this also. The quarterback can cause the offensive line fits too. So we have to take some of that into consideration from last year also. So that's a big thing too. Russell Wilson, his inability to throw across the middle of the field, sometimes being a little bit indecisive, sometimes holding on to the ball a little bit too long. You look at Justin Fields. Maybe the offensive line wasn't comfortable with him in terms of where he was going to end up being. When you have a mobile quarterback that can run all over the place, it does sometimes become difficult for the offensive line because that guy's going to be everywhere, man. And it really starts to pose heavy burden on them at times. And I'm not saying all the time a running quarterback just causes heavy burden. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you have to really be in sync with your quarterback is what I'm getting at here. You have to understand, you take Kenny Pickett from years ago, a guy that wanted to roll to his left all the time. That kills an offensive line because it's easy for defenses to read. So you got to have that cohesive group in the front, and they got to be in tune with their quarterback. That quarterback got to be able to allow that offensive front to understand what he is going to be able to do, where he likes to step in and out of the pocket, how he likes to manipulate the pocket, how long is he going to hold on to the football. Big Ben years ago played backyard brand of football to where, he would keep plays alive forever, and that offensive line had to block until that whistle was blown. There was no let up, and they had to really be conscious also of not getting down down the field before that ball was released. And that is something that's difficult. So there are tons of things that go into this just besides individual offensive linemen as players and their stats. There's just a ton that goes into this, and there's a ton of working parts here. The schematics, the blocking schematics. What do they, how do they approach that here in 2025? Because I felt like in 2024, it wasn't where it needed to be. I feel like the Steelers of old were known for that pulling and that real coming downhill type lineman to where they would get to the second and third level. You got guys like Troy Fautanu that were coming out of the draft that were known for getting up into the second and third levels. Zack Frazier also, a guy that's going to continue to move upfield. But I just feel like that Steelers under Pat Meyer, that Steelers offensive line just wasn't what I expected it to be. I just don't feel like it held up to a standard of offensive line play that the city of Pittsburgh deserves. So, again, we're going to dive into all that. We're going to take your comments, questions, and concerns also, and continue to dive through this offensive line and pick apart. We're going to start with Zack Frazier first. That'll be our first guy that we go through. What's up, Daniel Barry? What's up, Boomtown? Happy to open against my Jets week 1. At least it's buried as a 1 p.m. to take the spotlight off. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think it's been released, man. I don't know of any I don't trust the leaks. I wait till I hear it. Some of the leaks I trust, but like the week 4 game in Dublin, I trust that. But I don't trust all of it. I kind of wait to see. But you may be right, Boomtown. I just haven't seen it. That's all. I have tried not to pay attention to the leaks. Oh shit. What's that? Jumping in, Joe. Love Big Ben style. And usually was successful. This zone blocking is a bit wussified. Yeah, the zone blocking is something that you definitely have to grow into, and schematically you got to be really sound, and you have to really understand the concepts, no doubt about it. But you really got to break it down to its nuts and bolts, guys. It's run blocking. It's run blocking, and the concept's still the same. Helmet to helmet, hat on a hat, getting downfield, getting up to that next level, understanding how to never stop until that whistle is blown. We have a super chat coming in from our boy, JD. Thank you, JD. Truly, truly appreciate you for the super chat. Big super chat. Thank you, JD. Appreciate you, my friend. But JD coming in with a big super chat, 20 bones from JD, showing the love to the big guys down in the trenches. Absolutely, man. And we truly appreciate that super chat, guys. Super chats get your comment read instantly. And JD, one of the original OGs from the channel from way, way back. Long ago. So we're very happy to see JD in the chat, man. Always. Thank you, JD. Very, very much appreciated, my friend. Armand, I watched, sup, buddy? I watched O-line clips. I think 4 of 5 will make it. Yeah, who do you think won't make it, Armand? What's up, Ali? Big Pun in the house. Big Pun says, as long as Tomlin is there, the schematics may change. As long as Tomlin is there, the schematics may change, but the same conservative philosophy will remain. And I can see exactly why you say that, no doubt. And the anemic conservative play has been there for a long time now. And you can't win in the NFL with that anymore. And that's what we talked about. Mike Tomlin has to change a little bit. Mike Tomlin has to adapt. And I agree with you on that, Big Pun. But we also have to remember, too, this is only year 2 of Arthur Smith's scheme. And we talked about that zone run scheme. We talked about what Arthur Smith throughout this journey likes to do in terms of utilizing the tight end, in terms of formations and things of that nature. I think now you have a more complete back. in terms of what Arthur Smith likes to utilize in the backfield in Caleb Johnson. I think Jalen Warren will continue to grow inside of Arthur Smith's offense. And I feel like you have some nice additions with Kenneth Gainwell. And shit, the other guy, his name will come back to me here in a second. But the other guy they just picked up. But Mike Tomlin, again, has to take his thumb off of that and allow Arthur Smith to coordinate. And I don't think it's all Mike Tomlin's fault. I don't. But I do think Mike Tomlin micromanages. And I do think that Mike Tomlin is ultra conservative with his marching orders that he gives his coordinators. So, yeah, that's definitely a thing. No doubt about that. Boomtown, fair enough. We'll touch base when it's converted. I don't know, Boomtown. I don't know. You may be right, brother. I do not know. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I'm not. But I just don't know. And I don't want to say that I do know or agree with you just to do that because I truly don't know. Yes, well done, JD. Absolutely, man. Again, guys, JD's from way back. JD was with us a long, long time ago. I can't even remember when. He's probably in the first 500 to 1,000 subscribers. I would say that, maybe even earlier than that. What's up, Miss P in the house? Wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh. Armand says Jones might not make it. What's up, Mark Collins? I think you're wrong. I'll have to disagree with you on that one, my brother Armand. I have to disagree with you there. I think Broderick Jones is poised for an excellent year. We understand his trials and tribulations last year. They were very well documented. We saw them unfold right in front of our face. But Broderick Jones took his lumps. And I think last year was a big year for growth for Broderick Jones. And I know a lot of you ain't going to agree with me on that. And I can see why, because the production wasn't there. You didn't get to see the growth you would have wanted to see. But what I mean by growth is that Broderick Jones took a hell of a beating last year in terms of his pride, in terms of ego maybe. And I think he starts to understand that hard work, determination, never taking any plays off, giving maximum effort. I think he understands all of those things. And I think he had to learn the lessons the hard way last year. And what we've seen from Broderick Jones so far in this offseason has been absolutely amazing in my eyes. The work that you're seeing Brod put in, it has to be applauded, man. And Broderick Jones, in my eyes, is going to come back and take that year 3 leap. Guys, offensive linemen in this league, I try to warn you of this. Most of them aren't instant hits, man. Most of the time it takes 2 or 3 years. And I know we all say, well, Dotson goes to the Rams and he becomes an all-pro. Maybe Dan Moore will go somewhere and become an all-pro now that he went to Tennessee. Guys, it's not just all about that. Sometimes it's about the years that it takes to grow. And sometimes the Steelers move on before that clicks for a player. Yeah, some of it may be schematics, and I'll give you that because I'm not totally on board with Pat Meyer and how he attacks this thing. But I got to say this too. Growth happens probably at about a 3-year mark for an offensive lineman. Anywhere from 3 to 5 years in the league is where they really start to hit their stride and they really start to become valuable assets for your football team. That's typically how I've noticed it to be. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's typically how I've noticed it. Jumpin' Joe says Jones was disappointed. Guys, he had 1 year, and he was disappointing last year, no doubt about it. But none of us were saying this in year 1. In his rookie year, we were all sitting here talking about how great Broderick Jones was, what a great selection it was, how well he performed. That's what we were talking about last year. Or not last season, but the year before, his rookie year. I don't think that you can classify his career as a disappointment thus far because considering what I just told you, most offensive linemen aren't instant hits. That's the facts, guys. So you can't just beat up an offensive lineman for 1 bad year, man. We've seen 1 great year out of Broderick Jones. I won't say great, but pretty good. And I still feel like he had things to work on. It was his rookie year, but it was pretty good for a rookie. I thought it was an exceptional year for a rookie. And also, the fan base was quite happy with him. I think the coaching staff was quite happy with him. I just think the franchise as a whole was happy with the way they moved up and took Broderick Jones at number 14 overall. But he had a very tough year last year. And I know nobody wants to talk about the injury. I think the injury played a big role last year, guys. I think he sucked it up. I think he pushed forward. I think he did what he had to do and played football. I think that's the kind of guy Broad is. I think he wants to get out there and be involved. And I think he pushed the envelope maybe. And that may have caused a little bit of difficulty. And I know what we're going to say. If you're injured, stay off the field. And I agree with you. But sometimes guys push it, man. And maybe he just kind of kept telling everybody, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But deep down, he really wasn't. We don't know, and I'm not saying that to be the truth. I'm not trying to speculate here and make excuses for Broderick Jones. But I'm just giving some options, things that could have happened. Sick of Tomlin being afraid of zero innovation. I'll agree with that. Jumping Joe, Mark Collins, Trey Sermon. Yes, that's who it was. I could not think of his name for some reason. It's been 15 years of conservative Tomlin. Yeah. Nathan, schedule predictions. I do think that the Steelers aren't going to get screwed like they did last year. I think some of those games will be broken up because they're not doing AFC North Hard Knocks this year. So I think you'll see some of those division games broken up, which I think will provide some more stability to the schedule for the Steelers. Where we at? What's up, Mark Malone? They traded up for Jones. That was Tomlin's decision. Colbert was gone. I think it was Omar's decision too. I don't think it was a bad move. I think trading up for Broderick Jones was a good move. Big pun. DeCastro took his lumps. He got bullied his rookie year. I like Broderick's upside. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember DeCastro getting bullied around. He was one of those ones that, in my eyes, from what I remember of David DeCastro's rookie season, which is some time ago now, I remember David DeCastro being one of those guys that you said, man, this kid's got it from day one. I don't remember him ever being bullied around. Maybe he was. I may be wrong. But I don't ever recall that being a thing for David DeCastro at all, my friends. Sorry, I'm moving some stuff around here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get my coffee. All right, guys, make sure you are beating up that like button for us, man. We truly appreciate it. Hitting that like button helps the channel so very much. Hitting the like button, hitting the share button, subscribing to the channel, all those good things really, truly help. Thanks for Super Chat already from Big JD. We truly appreciate that. So Super Chats are always open. Memberships, 99 cents a month, are always open also. But we got to say something about this offensive line from last year. Broderick Jones, yes, I think he'll take a bigger step in year 3. I think we'll be all pleasantly surprised. I think Zack Frazier was one of those guys that was an instant step in, rarity, a real rarity. I think Mason McCormick has a long way to go, but is he serviceable? Can he get you through games? Absolutely. And when we were talking about when Armand says, I think one of them won't make it, and he said Broderick Jones, I think the biggest question mark right now has to be Mason McCormick. And yes, he got valuable experience. I love the selection of Mason McCormick in the draft, and I love the way he stepped in because he had no business being out there, guys, in his rookie season. He was just thrusted in there due to necessity, and I think he stood tall and got done what he needed to get done, and got a lot of starts under his belt, and that is very, very key. So that's a plus side for the Steelers moving into 2025. Let's talk about that. You had 2 rookies last year get tremendous amounts of starting reps. That is awesome. You had Mason McCormick and Zack Frazier both get double-digit games as a starter. That's awesome, dude, to have rookies get that many games. And that's a good thing also because you had Troy Fautanu who performed really well in Denver, then had that injury. You didn't get to see him. So he's going to be like another rookie coming into 2025. So it gives you a little bit more of a comfortable feeling because Zack Frazier and Mason McCormick were able to get those starters reps and those double-digit games under their belt their rookie season. And that gives the Steelers a little bit of breathing room because, man, if you were wheeling out there three guys that had no real starts under their belt for 2025, this is a totally different conversation. You're much more concerned about Broderick Jones than you are now. That's just the way it goes, you know. So very, very thankful for the events that unfolded. And I hate to see injury. I hate to see anybody forced into the lineup due to an injury. Herbig injured early in camp, thrusting Zack Frazier into the starting role, which I think Zack Frazier would have took over that starting role regardless, but still, he was the instant starter. Then James Daniels goes down, forcing Mason McCormick into the lineup. Sometimes things are a blessing in disguise. And again, I don't want to see anybody become injured. Becoming injured is something I hate to see. I don't want to see anybody's career go down like that. But again, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. All right, guys, we're going to get to some of your chat questions here. Super chats, get your chat comment instantly read. Also, memberships and liking, sharing. That's always good, man. We truly, truly appreciate it. But let's get back to the chat. We appreciate it. We need to get those likes up, guys. It's absolutely free. However, you got to hit the like button on your device, whether it's PC, whether it's the phone, whatever you got to do. Some of you could double tap the screen quickly. That will hit the like button. Some of you can hit three little white dots up in the right-hand corner of your screen. That'll also bring down that like box. So make sure you are doing it. But let's get into it here a little bit. Jumpin' Joe says, I think Siamalu could see signs of aging. Yes, that's a troublesome spot for me because he is an older player. However, he's a veteran, and you need that with a young offensive line group. And again, guys, most of these guys are returning. You're getting 4 guys that had starters reps last year. Coming back yet again. Those 4 guys played with each other. I know some of the positions you're going to swap a little bit. You're going to move Broderick over to left. Troy Fautanu, who hopefully is going to stay healthy, be in that right tackle spot. But all in all, this is year 2 of this experiment. And that is only going to be good for the Pittsburgh Steelers because an offensive line playing together needs 2 or 3 years of playing together before they hit their stride also as a group. That's just the progression of this thing. That's the trends of this thing. I'm not saying there aren't some outliers where people and offensive line groups just come in and blow your socks off. I'm not saying that. Armand, I agree. He did well thrown into the Wolves. Frazier McCormick, don't worry me. Armand, same too. Me too. Steve Winters, what's up, man? Hello, Jason. Hope you and your family are doing well. All I can say is I am ready for the season. I am so excited to see how our new guys look. Absolutely, Steve. Good to see you. Me too, man. I'm pumped up about it. I do have an announcement, man. I just found out today that Saturday at 9 a.m. At one of our local high schools, I will be part of helping out with the Jalen Warren camp, his youth football camp. I will be doing I guess a little bit of coaching and helping out with that, having the opportunity to speak with Jalen and those things. So I think that's going to be a really cool opportunity. You never know. Maybe I can con him into coming on Mike Drop Sports. But I think that's going to be something cool. So I do get the opportunity afforded by our youth football league that I coach in to be able to go down and hopefully help out in a big way down there at the Jalen Warren Youth Football Camp. So I will be there Saturday. If anybody's in the Morgantown area and you have a kid in that camp, say hello, say what's up. I'd be happy to talk to you. All right, guys, I'm going to get into the chat. Cowboy Gabe, what are your thoughts on the George Pickens trade? It's yesterday's news. I think it was something that was needed. Football-wise, I would have loved to see George Pickens in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform alongside DK Metcalf. But the news out of the building is that he had no fans there, and he was troublesome. And Sometimes you make additions by subtractions, and that's my feelings on it. And I think now the Steelers have to move on. And I can say this too with certainty, guys. Yes, I think Omar Khan will add another piece. Maybe Rock Taylor, another guy that's troubled. Rock Taylor's a guy that you would hope can keep his nose clean and be a contributor, because that kid got every ounce of talent in the whole world, and I think he can fit in nicely if he can keep himself on the right path, and I think he will do so with Mike Tomlin as his coach. I just got a good vibe about it for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm hoping so. But he is another one of those guys that's why he wasn't drafted, guys. It's not because he can't play football, because he can play football really damn good. But I think Rock Taylor has an opportunity to fill in. But I do think Omar Khan is going to make some sort of acquisition. But I have to warn you all of this. And I want the fans to really know this, guys. The Steelers have 12 picks for next year right now as it sits. They aren't going to bring in 12 players through that draft class. So there is available pieces to move in terms of draft capital, and there are available paths for them. But it takes two teams to get this done. So again, we'll have to see. But I want to warn you of this. The Steelers have set themselves up for something special in 2026 in terms of the draft. I'm not saying they'll hit on anybody in that draft. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they have set themselves up beautifully, and they're not going to risk that, guys. And I know this WR2 bullshit talk, that's all you hear. That's all Steelers airwaves are consumed with. What's Aaron Rodgers doing? What's the WR2? Guys, relax, because the Steelers aren't going to make any moves here. They're not going to make any trades that's going to jeopardize the opportunity that they have next year to execute a trade and move up, if need be, to gain a quarterback that they believe could be a franchise guy. That's not saying that they may not have their guy in the building right now, because I really got high hopes in Will Howard. Am I hanging all my money on that bet? No. But I really have high hopes for Will Howard, and I think that they could have stumbled onto something really, really special with Will. We will see. But I will tell you this, guys, and I want to reiterate this, and you guys really got to understand this, and I think most of you do. Omar Khan is not going to jeopardize that draft capital that he has for 2026. He is not going to put that in a compromising situation to where he cannot execute a trade in 2026. He is not going to do that for the sake of a WR2 in 2025. He is not going to do that. He would much rather roll with the guys that he has currently, or pick somebody up off the free agency market, the Amari Coopers, Keenan Allen, whoever I don't know, whoever else is out there, or execute some sort of small trade and use some lesser value draft capital. Because if the Steelers want to execute a trade in 2026 to move up for a quarterback, you're going to have to give away first round picks, legit first round pick, second round pick probably. And what are you going to do with the rest of those draft picks that you've accumulated through compensatory picks, through trades and things of that nature? What are you going to do with them? You're going to trade away the high value picks, and then you're going to use the 3 third-round picks that you have, the 2 fourths, whatever, and then you're going to fill out the rest of your draft class, but be able to go out and get a guy if need be. That's what's going to happen, guys. And again, I caution you, there will be no monster headline trade here for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a wide receiver too. They made their big trade for DK Metcalf. That's their number one. They don't need another number one wide receiver. They need contributors now. They need guys that can come in, catch 35 footballs a year, and be productive and move the chains. They don't need a guy that's going to come in and make a bunch of catches and go for over 1,000 yards. That's not what they're looking for, guys. That's not what they're looking for. And the Steelers aren't, again, going to jeopardize anything for the future because they've set themselves up in an absolute premier situation for 2026. All right, guys, make sure you're hitting the shit out of that like button. What's up, DJ Thomas? Everyone is saying we need to replace GP. We already did. DK replaced GP. Think we knew that, just hoping for that duo. But DK is the replacement. It's still a wide receiver 2 issue. And I appreciate DJ because That is what they did. They knew they were moving on from George Pickens. We may not have known, but they knew they were moving on from George Pickens. They were just waiting for the right time. And that's just the truth of all of this, guys. And maybe it's a wide receiver 2 issue. I don't think it will be an issue. I think he'll figure it out here. You're not going to go 2 years in a row and do kind of the same thing. I think he learned his lessons by putting everything into the Brandon Ayuk thing last year, and it cost him dearly, man. But when they did go out and get somebody, they didn't even use them, and Mike Williams. So that is what it is. All right, guys, I need you to double tap your screen or hit the like button, however you got to do it here on Steel City Live, only on Mic Drop Sports. I'm your host, Jason. As always, we are going to read the chat. I love my little soundboard. I'm sorry, guys. If it annoys you, I'm sorry, but I love it. DC4L. What's up, Drew Ruse? Thank you for Pickens. Let's go DC4L. I don't know what that means. Mark Malone, there may not be a quarterback worth trading up for in 2026. There may not be. But here's the thing, Mark. They're not going to risk that draft capital. I can just say it. And Mark may be absolutely right, guys. Mark may be 1,000% right that the Pittsburgh Steelers may not have a realistic target to go after in terms of a trade up for a quarterback. But here's the thing. They have options right now in Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. They don't have to force the issue in 2026 because I think I like what they have in that room right now. And also, and if there is nobody, you figure out how to trade back and start building for 2027. You just keep allowing this thing to repeat itself. That's how you got to do it. And you don't make any crazy moves. What do you do instead? You go after offensive linemen. You go after defensive front guys. You draft big name cornerbacks. You draft tight ends or whatever. You draft other positions that are of immense high value, and you do that. And then you try to roll picks back over into 2027 by trading back and things of that nature. You just keep playing this game of chess. This isn't checkers. And sometimes the moves aren't right there in front of you, but yet you got to prepare for the moves that are in the future. And if you're Omar Khan, that's exactly how you have to handle this. And I know that seems simple, but guys, this is simple. And I think when general managers start to overthink it and overcomplicate it, that's when they get into trouble. That's when they get fired because they do dumb shit. So don't overcomplicate it. And I don't think Omar Khan does. I think the fan base overcomplicates it most of the time. I think we all do, myself included. I'm not excluding myself from that. I'm part of the fan base. So I do that too in some of the things that I say. But I think we, again, got to be patient and trust in the process. And I think Omar Khan has given us no reason not to trust in the process because we talk about the bad Steeler drafts. I don't think Omar Khan's had a bad draft class yet. And now what? He's had 3, I believe. So I feel like they've all been pretty decent, and it takes years to see what those draft classes are going to truly be anyway. But I think he's found players that have been contributors, quick contributors. Yes, there's always going to be injuries and things of that nature, but I think Omar Khan has done a fine job here. Sleeping Lady, man, I just knew DK was his replacement. Same number and all, Everyone but George called DK to congratulate him. Seemed like an advertisement before the draft that he was available for trade. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I really had high hopes and tried to speak it into existence that we would have that duo and George would get his nose clean and stop acting like a total douchebag and an unintelligent idiot like he is. And the Steelers would have a crazy arsenal with those two. I was hoping for it, but deep down I knew. You all knew too. That it wasn't going to be. They have quarterback bodies in the building, but are they good? We don't know. Nobody knows. I do know this about Mason Rudolph. He can win you ball games. Is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Probably not, but he does what, guys? He buys you time to find your guy. He buys you the time because he's serviceable. He can win games. He can keep the fan base satisfied to some degree. And again, win games. And that's the whole name of the game here, winning games. What's up, Armand? He says, amen, Jason. Metalhead, what's up? 310 Man Ruth Football, what's up? Big Pun. We coming up on 20 years since our last Super Bowl win. Let's win now. Tired of not mortgaging the future. I can sense that frustration with you, Big Pun. I see it in your comment, and I sympathize. I sympathize with it, man. But here's the thing: you got to do it smart. Most franchises out there, there's a lot of franchises that have never won a Super Bowl championship, but that's no excuse because when you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise, you've set a standard. And the standard is the standard. And Mike Tomlin got to bring the standard back to winning championships, to being better in the playoffs, and not just being mediocre in the regular season, because that isn't the standard of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The standard is Lombardi trophies. The standard is championship football. Point blank, period. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a cornerstone franchise in the National Football League. And it's about time after 2 decades to start acting like it and bring that back and not become that laughing stock that I feel like we've become. How long to buy? Steelers should have picked Sanders. I don't want to hear that, Ruth. 310 Man Ruth. I don't want to hear the should have picked Sanders shit. They didn't, you know. It is what it is, man. Gilbert Urias, I think our play calling on both offensive and defense has been bland the last few years. It's been a decade since we've had one playoff game. Wow. Have won a playoff game is what he meant to say. I agree. It has been bland, and that's a Mike Tomlin issue. And again, guys, the Steelers' troubles aren't all Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin plays a major key into this, man. He is the guy. And when you're the guy, a lot of blame's going to be cast at your feet. And Mike Tomlin's got to shoulder that blame. That's what he's got to do. And his ultra-conservative game plans, his ultra-conservative way of coaching has started to bite him in the ass here over the last decade especially. And I think Mike Tomlin has to wake up and realize that and start to adjust a little bit. That's the big thing with Mike Tomlin. Players seem to love him. You know, and that's a good thing. And that means something to me in terms of he's probably a good dude. But man, does he have some deficiencies in the coaching department. And we've talked about them ad nauseum here. But it is what it is. And conservative play has to come to an end. And I'm not saying you get wild and crazy because I don't think that's the way you attack this thing. I think you loosen the reins a little bit. I think you figure out how to be a little bit more aggressive in some of the bigger moments and really propel yourself over to that next level. Sleeping Lady. Kind of worked out in the draft without a GP trade. Bet we got someone good with a 3rd-round pick. It'll be refreshing to not hear about his stupid nonsense embarrassing our club. Cowboys fans will find out. Guys, yes, and he was fined a tremendous amount of money. I think the max that Players Association even allows a player to be fined by a ball club. So, you know, he was late constantly. Violations were constant. And his teammates were not a fan of him. And that comes from Matt Williamson on his podcast. I heard it. I got a chance to listen to him, and I like him. He's one of my favorite people besides Mike Drop Sports to get any type of podcast from. It's from Matt Williamson. I think he's excellent at what he does. He's realistic and truthful. So I was listening to him, and I heard him say that directly after the GP trade, and it is what it is. I trust what Matt Williamson said. Jumpin' Joe, I think Tomlin lives in his fears. Kind of sad right now. Thomas Breeze, what's up, man? You're right, Jason. And when you win 9 or 10 games each year, you have to stack capital 1 year for use in the next. Yeah, that's the name of the game here, Thomas. And that is it exactly. Stacking draft capital, playing chess, not checkers. And sometimes playing chess is what, guys? A nauseating game that takes a very long time to play. And a winner isn't just clearly defined really quickly. Sometimes playing chess takes a long time, and you got to deal with it. And that's what we are going through right now as a fan base. We're figuring out how to say checkmate to the rest of the league. And the Pittsburgh Steelers sometimes have really made some bad moves on that chessboard. But I feel like here in the last couple years, under the guidance of Omar Khan, they've dug themselves back out of that. And I feel like they've put themselves back into a position that they can start to visualize a checkmate because you got to visualize 3 or 4 moves ahead when you play chess. And I think Omar Khan's doing that. I think he is visualizing 3 or 4 moves ahead. And maybe the fan base doesn't understand that because we want instant results because that's the society we live in right now, guys. You want instant gratification, and I don't blame you for it. I want it too. But the real thing is here, guys, you got to be patient. And I believe Omar Khan understands that, and he's willing to take the heat from the media, from the fan base, in order to get to that. And we'll see, man. Let's keep going. Jumper Joe. We said that. Oh, everyone says he's a defensive genius, but we got ran over the last 6 games, crushed in the wild card. Yeah, too. That's an ultra conservative schematic game plan there too, and I don't think if Terrell Austin's calling the plays, you see the limited amount of blitzes. I don't think you're going to see that conservative amount of play from the defense. So, again, I think Mike Tomlin needs to take his thumb off, allow his coordinators to coordinate, and loosen the reins a little bit. And I think that's the major deficiency here, guys. I think that's the major issue. And if I could whisper in Mike Tomlin's ear just one time and just say, my friend, loosen up a little bit. Allow your coordinators to coordinate. Quit clamping down on them. Quit making them be ultra conservative. I would tell him that because I think that's what needs to be said. Gilbert Urias, good show, but I got to go for now. We'll see you, man. See you, Gilbert. Appreciate you joining in. Big pun. The game passed by the likes of Newell, Landry, Walsh. I think it can't pass by Tomlin to think it can't pass by Tomlin is absurd. Absolutely. I agree. And the game does progress. And you bring up a very good point, Big Pun. Very good point. The game does progress. And that is what I keep putting into my comments. When I talk about Mike Tomlin, when I speak about the change, I say he has to adapt to this game of today. The rules are different. The schematic way you have to approach this thing is different. But I got to remind everybody of this, and this is truth. Football is football. And when you strip it down to its purest form, to the nuts and bolts of what really truly wins, football is always football. And the things that always have propelled you to be good are still there fundamentally. And that's why I always say this too. You have to be super good at the fundamentals. And I don't think sometimes the Steelers are super good at the fundamentals. I think the fundamentals are the most important thing. A hat on a hat. The effort. The hustle. That's got to be there. And I think that Steelers culture got to come back. And I think the Steelers are making a very adamant response, trying to get this thing back to that fire in their bellies, man, to want to play and put team above all else, and to really give that effort. And I think sometimes you don't see that effort. I think players get frustrated and a little bit, egoish, to use a better lack for a better term there. But again, I think the Steelers culture is being reborn, and I think we'll get it here. No blitzing, I agree. Richard, this team is so predictable on both sides of the ball. Absolutely, and that comes back to Mike. And that's Mike. Mike, that's what you say. When you sit there on your couch Sundays and you say that this is an outside toss play, to Najee, guys, it shouldn't be that predictable, and that's where we get with Mike Tomlin. If Mike Tomlin can just change that, I think we got something in Pittsburgh. I really do, because I like this roster, regardless of what everybody wants to say about this roster. This roster's not bad, dude. So we'll see. Miss Pittsburgh waving that terrible towel. We truly appreciate that terrible towel. Yes, wave it. Hitting the like button. Guys, we got to get those likes up, my friend. We truly appreciate you hitting the like button. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a damn thing. So let's get those likes up. Again, we appreciate the super chats. Super chats are always wide open. Get your comment instantly read. Also, memberships, 99 cents a month. Roberta Campbell, I'm not sure the fan base is all about instant now. I think the fan base is in a mediocre hell, dealing with average, not elite. I see the frustration, Roberta, and you know my thoughts, my deep down thoughts of this. I agree with you. We've had this conversation, you and I. No doubt about it, man. But here's the thing. In order for the mediocrity to stop, in order for this franchise to take steps forward, it all starts with tonight's thumbnail. The offensive line. That's where it starts. To put points up in this league, you've got to have an offensive line that can pass pro and run block. That's where it all starts. Then it starts also with what? The defensive trenches. And I think if you look at this football team, they haven't put an emphasis on that and quite some time before this Omar Khan era. And I think since Omar Khan has got back into the driver's seat of this franchise, or got into the driver's seat of this franchise in terms of roster development, I truly think this franchise has taken that road, that path, down that path of gaining guys in the trenches again. And I think the emphasis has been put back on that in a big way. And I think you as Steeler fans are going to start to see a big difference, because I don't think that hungriness to make those units elite was there. I think that they were just trying to band-aid it over and over and over for so long that we got behind the eight ball. You had that tremendous offensive line when you had Castro, Villanueva, Ramon Foster, Pounce. You had all those guys. You had that unit in place, and the Steelers were comfortable. But once that unit phased out, they were screwed. Then you had the retirement of Stephon Tuitt, and that left Cam Hayward, and the Steelers were never able to rebound there. And I feel like since those two events have happened, the Steelers have band-aided the trenches as best they could to stay competitive. But they know deep down that was causing a tremendous amount of issues. And I think that they've put the focus on that now. And I think, honestly, that we're going to get to see something special start to be built here because of the re-emphasis on the trenches and the way that they've approached this over the last several years. Jay says, yes, but you can only what? You can only from one of the ones that don't want him. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Jay. You have to put it back in. Jumpin' Joe says Tomlin is to blame for the mediocrity. I agree. Good O-line and D-line are imperative. Yeah, guys, I know nobody wants to hear me because and talk about this. This isn't the sexy thing to talk about. Offensive line, defensive line, those aren't those sexy things that everybody wants to hear about in a fan base. It's not going to win me a bunch of clicks. It's not going to win me a bunch of views. It's not going to win me a bunch of likes or super chats. These topics aren't for that. That's not going to do it. But it's the truth. It's the most meaningful things for this franchise. And I think that I do you a disservice if I don't bring these things up and try to really emphasize them. Because, guys, these are the things that matter. Offensive and defensive lines, the fronts, the offensive front, the defensive front, how they block, how they attack. Those are the most important things this franchise has to focus on right now, guys. And if those aren't right, nothing else that we talk about matters. It doesn't. I keep emphasizing that because if you have a mediocre offensive line, let's just say this. We went out there, say they never traded GP, but they did everything else. So you have a run game in terms of guys in the backfield that you're ultra confident in. You feel like Caleb Johnson's going to be really good. You love Jalen Warren. Let's just say Mason or Will, they hit it, man, and they're doing pretty well. Let's say Pat Freiermuth is having a good year, DK, blah, blah, blah. Let's just be real honest. You may be able to win 9, 10 games, maybe 11 games, but you're not going to win playoff games. You're not going to win things when it matters. You're going to have struggles if that offensive line cannot be elite. They got to be really, really good. No matter who you put at quarterback, no matter who's at wide receiver, running back, whatever. If Zack Frazier, Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, Isaac Seumalo, if those guys don't come together, this offense can't do shit. It can't. And it's going to look the same as it did last year. It's going to look the same as it did the year before and the year before that. Guys, do you see a theme here, guys? The offensive line hasn't been good in a long time. And you wonder why you keep seeing the same product put out there offensively. It's because of that. It's there. Yes, the quarterback position matters too. I understand that. I get it. But man, it starts with the trenches. And if you're not doing something to fix it, it's going to be the same result. Mason over Rodgers any day for me. That's from Roberta Dakota Miller. This GM is clueless. You're stupid, man. Sorry, Dakota. I gotta call you out on that one, bro. I appreciate literally. I gotta give you a double boo. I gotta give you a double boo because I think you're totally off base with that. I didn't mean to call you stupid. I apologize for that. That comment just caught me off guard, man. I can't even see where you're coming at it with saying that. I just can't even. It's making me like literally flabbergasted. I chose the red-nosed reindeer. That's from Jumpin' Joe. Big pun. Tomlin literally handed the starting center job to Kendrick Green. That's inexcusable. What did Tomlin see from him to warrant that? Tomlin seen this. Big pun. And again, when I talk about Tomlin's ego, nobody wants to hear it. They all say I'm crazy. But that's a prime example, and you bring up an excellent point there, Big Pun. Tomlin literally handed that starting job to Kendrick Green, and he wanted to be right. And that was the biggest thing. He wanted to make Kevin Colbert and himself look really, really good. Like they knew what they were doing, moving a guy from guard to center and making it a project. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, with their long lineage of great centers in the city of Pittsburgh, the Websters, the Dawsons, the Pounceys, the Steelers know how to do it. And here's the next guy in the long line of Steelers great centers. And that was an ego thing. And it failed. Bender Fender, the line works when the quarterback isn't running out of a perfectly good pocket collapsing. You mean collapsing pocket? Pockets collapse. Quarterback's got to learn to step up. But here's the thing: you got to give them a little bit of time. I mean, a little bit. I know you got to get out the ball fast. You got to get the ball out quickly. But they got to have a little bit of time. And quarterback, you're right, does need to understand how to step up in the pocket and manipulate it, no doubt. The head coach was never good, honestly, only one with cowards. Players, Dakota Miller, no, I like the candidates, but why would you wait to trade Pickens after the draft? I think I could answer this, Dakota. And again, I apologize to you. I didn't mean to act like that. That was very rude of me. I shouldn't have said it like that. That's stupid. And that's little of me, and I don't want to be like that. But I just feel like this, Dakota. I think it was ideal maybe to trade him during the draft, but you weren't getting the offers that they wanted. I just don't think anybody was offering. And I know fans seem to think that George Pickens had some sort of tremendous value. But if you listen to Mike Drop Sports long ago, last summer, when this type of stuff was being brought up, I have repeatedly over and over told you guys what the value of George Pickens was. And again, I could have been wrong. They could have got more. But I kept saying a third-round pick is probably the best you're going to do unless it's some weird, odd time where a team is absolutely desperate and George is starting to clean up his act and he's performing on the field and he's starting to show you production instead of potential. Then maybe you get a very late second-round pick for him. But I kept repeating it. George Pickens had a value of a third-round pick. Again, you're not trading for production there. You're trading for potential with George Pickens. Only 1,000-yard seasons out of the 3. Only 12 total touchdowns over 3 seasons. Regardless of the external factors and all that, those are George's numbers. So when you trade for George Pickens, what are you trading for? You're trading for a guy that has barely got to 1,000 yards one time out of 3 years, and a guy over 3 years that's only scored 12 touchdowns that supposedly was a team's number 1 target. How can you pay top dollar for that, Dakota? That's the real thing, and I don't think the Steelers were getting the offers during the draft, and I think after the draft, after everything settled down and the Cowboys may necessarily not got what they wanted in terms of the wide receiver room, they were willing to up their offer, and I think they called back to the Steelers and said, Omar, we're willing to give you a third now. Is that a deal? And he took it because they, too, knew, like us here at Mike Drop Sports, knew the value of George Pickens. Because again, guys, it's not like you're trading for a DK Metcalf where there's proven production at the NFL level, proven starter, number one wide receiver production from DK Metcalf throughout his career. You're not getting that when you trade for George Pickens. That's the reality of this whole thing, guys. Whether you like to hear it or not, and you think the Steelers may have had some gold in a bottle, that they were going to be able to cash in on, when it hit high value. It wasn't there. The value wasn't there. Mark Malone, in all fairness, though, remember when Ben won a Super Bowl with ragtag O-line? I agree. Yes, I remember that. But was the O-line really that ragtag? I don't know. Did they start to come into their own? Did they finally start to gel? I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate there, Mark, and give both sides. I agree with you. He did. But Ben was a special player. Ben was a generational talent. People being able to manipulate the pocket like Ben, people that can extend plays like Ben, people that were big, strong like Ben, that could shrug off tackles and get out of sacks, guys that could play backyard football like Ben, they don't come around often. And they really don't come around barely ever. And Big Ben was an oddity. So, that's why I feel like sometimes Steeler fans maybe undervalued Ben Roethlisberger at particular times of his career. And that being one of them. Big Ben Roethlisberger was a one of one at that time. Nobody could do what Big Ben did. And he was in the proper fit, the proper franchise in order for all that to work. It was a perfect storm. And Big Ben was a benefactor, and so were the Pittsburgh Steelers and its fan base by gaining a Lombardi trophy in Super Bowl 43, playing with a very, very ragtag line, as Mark put it. Yes, Tomlin's arrogance is a problem for the franchise, but the results don't lie. What's up, Shanta Murray? She says Steelers Nation. Ravens suck. I agree, Shanta. You're spot on. Armand Ray Mansfield, center before Webster, and Buzz Nutter, center before him. 65 years of good centers. Man, that's a good... Hey, Armand, I like when you throw that out, my friend. Ray Mansfield, I know that name. I know Webster. I know all of that, man. I appreciate it. Buzz Nutter. I've never heard of that one, Armand. Thank you for the history lesson, my friend. You are always, always well appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. JJJ. Aaron Rodgers is going to come save your shit franchise. What a dumb comment, dude. Boo. Your mother, man, probably when you came out of the room, she probably screamed like that, JJ. She was probably like, what? Like, what the fuck just come out of me? It's JJJ. Yeah, that's probably what she did. With that comment, that's probably what she did. Ravens and Bengals and Browns all have more talent. I don't know, Jumpin' Joe. I like this Steelers roster, man. I think all those other teams have really good talent. I ain't going to lie, but Lamar Jackson ain't going to win you a Super Bowl. He's proven that time and time again. He can't win in the playoffs. Joe Burrow, does he have a defense that can win a Super Bowl? No. The Browns, they're the Browns. They can't get out of their own fucking way. They had Baker Mayfield. The franchise is on the up and up. They beat the Steelers in the playoffs, and they fucking dismantled the thing. Who does that? So the division is what it is, but I can agree. I think there's a lot of talent in the AFC North. I'll agree with that. Wave your towel for Miss Pittsburgh. I like this comment, too. This is another one you get a boo for, JJJ. You said 9-8 is praised only in Pittsburgh. Guys, nobody praises that here. I know fans want to act like the Steelers fans are all on board with Mike Tomlin's non-losing season streak. Guys, if you come to the city of Pittsburgh and you talk to the Pittsburgh fans hate it more than anybody. They think it's the worst fucking statistic that they've heard. No one cares about that, and I can promise you that, JJ. Again, your mother probably was batshit crazy screaming when you popped out with your dumbness. Shanta Murray says Steelers Nation. Gotta love it. Miss Pittsburgh, here we go, Steelers. Big pun. He's talking to Mark J. I heard they were getting 5th and 6th round offers during the draft. That may be true. for Pickens. Sleeping Lady, we got some revenge games this year with the Jets, Seahawks games for Fields and DK Metcalf, respectively, when his schedule releasing. 8 o'clock, Sleeping Lady. Tomlin's stupid streak doesn't matter. I'd rather compete for Super Bowls. Me too. Here, Jumpin' Jay. Man, you give a fucking great thing you said here, man, and everybody should listen to you. Tomlin ain't won a playoff game in 9 years and loves going 9-8. Steelers sunk. Shut up, dude. Like, we all don't know that. Like, you're throwing out some statistic that's earth-shattering or something. You're going to come to Mike Drop Sports, baby. Come armed, my friend. Come armed. Again, your mother hates you. I can honestly say that. Big pun, Jeff Hardings was a great center too, who gets forgotten when mentioned in great centers. Yeah, I like Jeff Hardings. Good one to bring up, big pun. Armon Pouncey didn't play, and Harrison 100% for his Packers. Yeah, he didn't play in the Packers Super Bowl, and that was definitely felt. Some people you just got to ignore. We will probably not see another quarterback like Ben for a long damn time. That's from Miss Pittsburgh. I don't think, if ever, man, if ever. Roberta Campbell, Steelers fans and the NFL underestimate Ben. Ben is one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. Totally agree. Totally agree, man. Armand Nutter became a dentist. That's awesome. Those guys had to get a job afterwards because they didn't make no money. Sleeping Lady 49ers had a bunch of picks going into this draft and actually did select 11 players. I could see the Steelers trading up for a pick, but could also see Omar clean house to refresh some positions. You may be right, Sleeping Lady. Just from my perspective, I don't ever see them taking 12 players in a draft. I just don't think the Steelers are that way. They're a little too loyal to some other players on the team and things. But they may. You may be right, Sleeping Lady. Ryan Stevenson in the house. Who's going to be your guy's number 2 now? Maybe a committee. I don't know. I think we'll get it fixed, Ryan. Also, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, man. We need you to hit that like button. Send us out into that YouTube algorithm. Share the show. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. We truly appreciate it, man. Even the people that are haters, man, subscribe. We love it in the conversation. I may bust your ass a little bit and talk shit to you, but that's the fun part of it, man. So, at least I'm interacting with you. You may not like what I say back to you, and I may not like what you say, but that's all part of the game, man. Come in, talk your shit. We appreciate it, truly. We got some missing people, man. I haven't seen Sean in a long time. I haven't seen Daniel Warman in a long time. I know about Downtown John Broadway. I know about him. Man, we got some OGs missing. We're going to have to put the APB out. Yeah, he was, man. He was Gilbert. He was dropped on his head as a baby. His mother was super pissed, but JJ, Gilbert says, JJJ wasn't dropped. He was dropped as a baby. Wasn't dropped as a baby. He was thrown down. Roman Wilson for Mark Malone, maybe. I don't think the rest of the AFC is more talented. Jackson lost to Kenny Pickett twice. That's from Gilbert. Yeah, no shit, man. No shit. That's what I say, man. These fans from the Ravens, they talk so much shit, and it's like, dude, what's your record since 2020 with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Even after you got 2 wins from them this year. Look at your record. It still isn't fucking good. Lamar Jackson still has a crazy losing record against the Steelers. I hit your stupid like button, okay? Don't talk about moms. You're right. Don't talk about moms. I don't have my mom anymore, so, sometimes I don't pay attention. But you're all right. Thank you for hitting that stupid like button. I interacted with you, Jumpin' Joe, the whole damn show, but thank you. Damn, you're doing me a great favor. Just playing, man. Just playing. All right, Sleeping Lady, having all those picks next year may make these guys show up better just knowing their jobs could be on the line. Maybe. No doubt about it. Mr. Steeler fan, did we already cover Derek Harmon's story today? About what? What about Derek Harmon? What about Derek Harmon? Gilbert is a nerd from 1983 movie. Ron Stevenson picking Gotta Go was part of the Rogers demands. Hey, maybe Ryan. Armand, 12 Steelers played in the boarding houses in Glassport, mid 60s. I met them at American Legion with my dad. Players like played 10. Wow, that's crazy to know they made 10K and what they make now. What's up, Big Danny George? Good to see you, buddy. Mr. Steeler, rumblings around many in the league suggesting Derek Harmon is in the run for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know, Mr. Steeler fan. I'm not much in the rumors, or I'm not much into the major speculations. We haven't seen this guy play a down of football yet in the National Football League. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I really like the guy. I think he has tremendous upside in terms of what I saw in college. But am I ready to say, oh, he may be in the topic for Rookie of the Year? I'm not saying. I don't know. And I think that's a reach to crown people like that, or I just don't like those conversations. I just don't think they're ones that need to be had. That's just my thing. And some people may not like that, but I just think we need to wait to see before we have those conversations. Those are more time filler conversations, when we're not talking about real issues like the defensive front, like the offensive front. That's what those are. I don't know, just not my thing. But I agree with you. I mean, I think he got a tremendous upside, but it's just not my thing. Gilbert Urias, Gilbert the nerd got the hot chick. He was second in the FBS with quarterback Hurry's pressures, I think, over 50. No, he wasn't second. Derek Harmon was actually first in the FBS by a large margin, not by just a little bit, by a decent amount over guys like Mason Graham, over everybody else that got picked in front of him. And pass rate pressures is what that statistic is, Mr. Steeler fan. And yes, I brought that up during the draft time. I brought it up from the very second we started talking about Derek Harmon, when I kept saying that I thought that they were going to draft Derek Harmon. I think many others thought so too. But I kept bringing that up, that he was leading the FBS in pressures. And that was something that had to be really recognized, because that means he doesn't take plays off, that he's constantly going. And when you talk about a guy with a high motor, that's it. A guy that is constantly, relentlessly trying to pursue the quarterback. And that's what Derek Harmon believes or brings to the table, no doubt about it. Guys, jumping, Joe says they drafted Harmon with an injury. That makes me a little bit nervous. I can see why it would make you nervous, but guys, Pittsburgh has some of the best doctors in the entire world. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's fact. That's truth. And the Pittsburgh Steelers team doctors are some of the best in the world at what they do. And do you think for 1 second they would have drafted him if they weren't comfortable with where he was injury-wise? I don't know. It is what it is. I trust in him, and I can see why you guys are nervous, though. I definitely can. But definitely, I think the Steelers are well prepared for that. There's Triple J in the chat again. Don't say Big Pun had a dumb question. You're nuts. Remember, your mother screamed like that when you came out of the womb. Big Pun, Jason in their prime for one game, TJ Watt or James Harrison. Man, I don't know. TJ Watt? TJ's still in his prime. I love James though too. James, they both play a different game. They definitely both play. S. Dresden constantly going and never arriving. How about Tanu? I think he's going to be good. We just got to see him. He's just a player we got to watch, man. We haven't got to see him take a snap. Make better choices. Later, loser. Thank you, though, Triple J, for coming in and giving us, a lot of chat comments, hitting the like button, or probably didn't hit the like button, but at least giving us a view. We appreciate that. Make better choices. Can you explain to me why the Steelers fans complaining and you guys have a winning season year after year, trying not competing for anything in 30 years? We back HTT. I don't know what that means. But anyway, because here's the thing, make better choices. Steeler fans are winners. They want to win. They're not mediocre. They're not satisfied with average. Having a loser's mentality of just being okay with being okay is for other teams, like the Cardinals and shitty teams like that, Jaguars. Those fans are jumping for joy when you do something average. We're Steeler fans, baby. We're different. We want to win. We want to win championships. We don't want to win. We don't want to be average. And that's why Steeler fans complain. And, that's why we're not fans of other teams, because we're type of fans that don't settle for average, and just winning isn't good enough, Maybe Redskins have been mediocre, but you drafted the best quarterback in the draft when he was taken, Jaden Daniels. He was the best quarterback at that time. Yeah, man. Wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh. All right, guys, we've been going long enough. I got to get off here. But thank you. Appreciate you guys greatly for contributing. Thanks to JD for the awesome super chat. Truly means a lot to me, man, to have JD back in the chat every night. We love JD. Thank you, my friend. And definitely thank you to all of you guys for your likes, for your shares. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. But tonight, after the schedule release, I believe it happens at 8 p.m., there will be pre-recorded content that I will put out for you guys to enjoy, and load the comment section up there, load the likes up, turn your notification bells on. And again, we are taking Mic Drop Sports to that next level. So until later tonight, man, yeah. I'm Jason. This is Mic Drop Sports. Peace, my friends.